All right. I have to ask you this. What are the pros and cons of growing up as a mixed race kid?
Major con is that, I don't know for other mixed race kids, but I was pretty damn confused.
How strong are your Vietnamese?
It's good. It's good. I mean, like, lúc trước, do you want to speak in Vietnamese?
Okay, go ahead.
Lúc trước, lúc Kim mới đến Việt Nam, tiếng Việt của Kim dở quá trời dở.
Dở quá dở.
Yeah, có mẹ người Việt nhưng không, chẳng biết nói gì hết.
What will you like be called as an Asian woman or as a black woman?
As a child, I was just different. There wasn't... Có một số người nó xấu em luôn anh. Anh có tin không?
Welcome to today's edition of African Roots on Afroviet TV. I'm your host, Mr. Nam, the most handsome guy in Vietnam. Okay, on today's episode, we have an interesting guest. Our guest today is of Vietnamese and Ethiopian descent. Just as you know, on African Roots, we get to speak to people who have a connection to African or Afro-descendant culture right here in Vietnam. So you don't want to miss an episode of this series, and you definitely don't want to miss a second of today's interview because our guest has so many interesting things to share with us. So let us go and find Kimmie. See you guys. African roots. African roots. Hello, Kimmie.
Hi, Nam.
How are you?
Really well, thank you.
Looking beautiful today.
Thank you, I'm feeling it.
All right. Guys, as I already told you, our guest today is the beautiful and delectable Kimmie doll. All right, Kimmie, I just have to get this out of the way before we get on with the interview. I've always had this confusion about pronouncing your name. Kimmie is easy to pronounce, but your last name, you know, I'm also like seeing myself as a Vietnamese now. If I want to go with the Vietnamese pronunciation, it's like Kimmie Yo. But if I'm pronouncing it as a foreigner, it's Kimmie Do or Kimmie Do. What? Please save me from this mayhem. What is the right pronunciation of your name?
All right, let's set the record straight.
All right,
my Facebook name and my real name are two completely different things.
Oh.
Yes. So my Facebook name is how I prefer to be called.
Okay.
Kimmie Do.
Okay.
If you were to say it the Vietnamese way, Do.
Do.
And the reason why I have my last name as a Vietnamese one is to honor my mother.
Oh.
Yes. So I chose her last name as my public name. But now as I'm building my brand, becoming more in touch with my Ethiopian roots, I'm letting more people know about my real name, which is Kimmie Berhanu.
Kimmie Berhanu.
Yes. Yes.
All right. There are so many informations at the same time. Straight up, we have to peel this onion layer one after the other, layer by layer. So first of all, you just said something about having your Ethiopian roots, and your mom is Vietnamese?
Yes, correct. My father is Ethiopian, my mother is Vietnamese.
Your mom is Vietnamese and your dad is Ethiopian?
Yeah.
So, where were you?
What do you mean? Where was I? Where did I come from?
Where did you come from? Because, okay, now let's face it, your English is flawless. So you are, let's say you were not born in Vietnam?
No, I wasn't. I was born in Australia.
Okay.
So I can't say thank you for complimenting my English because it is my native language.
Of course. It is your native language, so why should I compliment it? You should be telling me my English is even
Your
flawless.
English is amazing. Impeccable.
Because you are Australian or Vietnamese or Ethiopian. What's your... What do I say? You are Australian or you are Vietnamese or you are Ethiopian or you are all of them?
All of them. Why pick?
Why pick?
Exactly.
That's a good question.
They're all different parts of me. They're all who I am.
Okay, now let's dig deeper a little bit. Let's go. What's life like growing up as a multiracial kid? What is it like?
It depends on where you're at.
Okay.
Because, for example, the first few years of my life, my mother and father, they divorced.
Okay.
Yeah, so what happened was my dad, he took all of the family savings and he ran back to Ethiopia, leaving my mom with me and my younger brother.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it was a bit of a confusing time because when my father was there, I would speak Amharic with him and Vietnamese with my mother.
And the Amharic is your father's native language?
Yes, correct.
Amharic?
Amharic,
That's
yes.
Ethiopian tribal language,
Yes,
right?
correct. It's one of the most spoken languages in
Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And you still understand that language?
Not at all, not at all.
Not
when
at
my
all?
father left, that connection was cut.
And how old were you then?
I was only 4 years old at the time.
4 years old.
Yeah, and when you're young, it's so easy to forget.
Oh, okay, but coming from, taking you back a little bit, I mean, like, where were you born and where did you grow up?
I was born in Melbourne, Australia.
Okay, and that was, from what I can sense, that was where your dad and your mom met?
Yes, correct. So they were neighbors actually.
Oh.
And my father saw my mother walking through the street in the neighborhood and he thought she looked really fine. Yeah, so he had to say hi.
I can see that. I can see that. What do you think, guys? What do you think if you see a beautiful, beautiful woman walking by? That's a normal thing to say hi and to see where it goes. All right, so now after 4 years, you were left with your mom
Yes,
and
correct.
your brother.
Yes.
So have you seen your dad ever since then?
Not since then. So what happened was my father did try to keep in contact with us, write letters, but you can understand how my mom felt. She felt betrayed.
Betrayed, yeah.
And also robbed as well, because that money was our family's money, our futures, the money for our future. So every letter that came through the door, my mom, she'd look at it,
Toss it.
rip it up, toss it.
Okay, now to play the devil's advocate, have you ever tried to hear from your dad directly and understand the reason why he left?
No, I haven't, but to be honest, I don't feel like I am missing much because my mom, she has been there for me from day one.
Okay.
She was the one who chose me every single day, and my brother every single day.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so beautiful to hear.
Yeah.
And at what age did you move to Vietnam?
When I was 20.
I mean, okay, let's say your first visit.
Okay,
Vietnam.
my first visit. I think that was when I was maybe 19.
19.
Yeah, so I came here twice on holidays, and every single time I visited, I just thought, wow, Vietnam is absolutely amazing. The people here are incredible. The food, tasty. And I thought to myself, if I'm here a few months a year, why not turn this into my everyday? Yeah.
I get your points. That's how I felt when I came here.
I mean, how long have you been living here?
I've been living here for over 10 years, and I just felt like I just came yesterday. I still fall in love with the country, with the culture, with all the things around me, and Vietnam is such a beautiful place that you just have to visit. You just have to try and visit and stay here for a month for you to not fall in love with this country. You are something else. I know everybody goes through different experiences living here, but I can tell you that most of the foreigners that I've been with, that I've seen, they have all had good things to talk about Vietnam. And you being half Vietnamese, I know how very important it is for you. Like, it's like coming home.
Definitely.
It's like coming home, and after 19 years of living abroad, you decided to visit for the first time, and you loved it here. And all right, my next question is, how has it been trying to navigate through the life of a Westerner to now coming to Vietnam and trying to adjust to the ways of living here?
The thing is, as a mixed race child, having a Vietnamese mother, Ethiopian father, I've never really, growing up in Australia, I've never really fit in perfectly anywhere.
Okay.
So even here, I don't fit in perfectly, but I do feel a deep sense of belonging because this is the place that I've chosen to call home.
Okay. And where does that, I mean, for now, where does your parents and where does your mom and your brother, they still live in Australia?
Yes,
they're
everyone is back in Australia.
So you are in Vietnam all by yourself?
Yes, but I am the eldest child.
Okay.
I have 5 siblings younger than me.
Oh.
Yeah, so many of them do want to, they see what I'm doing, living abroad, living an amazing life, full of passion and purpose, and they want to follow in my footsteps as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll have to get this out. Do you consider living here as living abroad, or how do you say it?
Hensel, 50-50, you know?
Oh, that's great. So that leads me to the next question. How much of Vietnamese language do you speak?
When I first came here 4 years ago, my Vietnamese was, I could understand so much. I can relate to that. I was what people would call a receptive bilingual. Okay. You can understand so much. Your family talks to you and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. But you'd respond back in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can understand what they were saying to you, but you cannot respond in the same language.
I mean, there wasn't any need to. When you grow up in a country that doesn't speak your home language, you don't have much incentive to connect with the home language.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I have to ask you this. What are the pros and cons of growing up as a mixed race kid?
Major con is that, I don't know for other mixed race kids, but I was pretty damn confused for so long. And also, because
confused as how? Like
confused as to how to identify. Exactly, how to identify, like, am I Australian? Because the white kids say that I'm not.
Okay.
Am I Asian? Like, I don't like, I mean, I have an Asian mother, but like, does that make me Asian? I have like Vietnamese, and like I have an Ethiopian father, but like he's not even in the picture, so how?
So that must be very confusing and troubling at the same time for you as a kid. I can imagine as a black dude growing up in Africa, I know I was accepted because I was part of the community and I blended in very well. But then when I go to a different country, it's a different thing entirely. But you growing up all your life, being mixed race, not even in your mother's country, nor your father's country, but in a different country completely. That must have been, I don't know. That's why I asked the question, because I want to know what has it been like for you, you know? Going through life, knowing that you were not accepted as an Australian, you might not be accepted as a Vietnamese, and you've never been to Ethiopia, if I'm guessing correctly.
That's correct.
Can you tell me, how was it mentally, psychologically for you as a kid growing up?
So a lot of my childhood I spent in a small town next to Melbourne.
Okay.
So it was called Geelong, and this is the middle of nowhere. Pretty much everyone was white. And so the message that I got in my head was that, like, I was not normal, my family was not normal, and that we should try to adapt to make ourselves as white as possible to fit in. Yeah. When we were 9 years old, when I was 9 years old, my mom, she moved us to the inner city, to Melbourne. And that's when my whole life and perspective changed. It went like a 180. Yeah, the reason why was because the inner city was so multicultural. I saw people who had mothers like mine, Vietnamese, didn't speak English that well. Mothers who were single mothers, a lot of them, because that was something for me that I felt awkward about. Because when I was younger, I didn't see any positive role models of what I could be, what my family could be. Yeah, and so moving to the inner city where it was super multicultural, seeing people who had black hair, that was amazing.
Yeah.
People who had rice for lunch, who had banh mi. Yeah.
I have to say your hair is awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
And that's one of the things mixed race kids have that none other ethnicity has, because your hair is a blend of this and that, and it just it takes the beautiful parts of your mixed race, and it's beautiful. I tell you, it's gorgeous.
But it's something that you need to learn to appreciate.
Appreciate, yeah.
Definitely, because when you're growing up and no one tells you that curly hair is beautiful, that no one tells you black hair can be just as gorgeous as blonde hair or brown hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while you were growing up, I know what I felt like, you know, going to school, and I'm assuming for you going to school, what will you like be called, as an Asian woman or as a black woman?
As a child, I was just different. There wasn't any particular identity. It was just me and my family were different. That's it. And different in that context of a white small town was a negative thing.
Okay. Now I want to ask you, what has been what was your first encounter with the black community, or black people, or black person in general? What was it like?
So when I moved from Geelong to Melbourne, I had neighbours. And these were neighborhood kids. Everyone would just hang out with each other after school. And it was the most...
neighbors might be, they're blacks?
There were blacks, there were Indians, there were Chinese.
Okay.
It was absolutely amazing.
All right.
I remember walking home after school, because we'd all walk home together.
Yeah.
We lived like only about 10-minute walk away, and we'd just be talking, chilling, like making fun of each other. Yeah, I remember there was this girl, her name's Amin, she's Sudanese, and she would invite me to her house.
Okay.
And we just put on the TV, watch Beyonce. This was the first time I saw a beautiful black woman on TV, shaking her booty, her luscious locks just flowing. And then my friend Amin, she'd just be standing in front of the TV, replicating all of her moves. And I was just,
wow.
I was shook to the core.
Okay.
I saw on TV someone who looked like me and someone right in front of me who could also do this, and that meant that I could do it as well. Yeah.
So at what age would you say you started accepting your blackness?
It took a long time. Blackness, Asianness.
Asianness, exactly.
It took many years. Yeah, growing up, I didn't even want to speak Vietnamese because I was never taught the value of Vietnamese language, Vietnamese culture, history. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like the curriculum, it's so Eurocentric. Often we're learning about English history, American history, but we don't talk so much about other cultures. I think slowly the curriculum is starting to change, because in high school we started learning about Indigenous Australians. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I really cannot say I understand completely how you must have felt. You know, your childhood and your racial identification and all of that. I can't relate to that because I have never worn the shoe. I've always been black all my life. I've never had to deal with...
Never had to question your identity?
Never had to question my identity. I've always known that from childhood that you are a black dude, you're an African guy. So whatever else anybody attaches to me, if you're African or African American or African or black African, whatever that means, I've never had to deal with that, you know. But then my next question is this: at what point, like I asked before, but maybe you didn't understand it clearly, when was your first encounter with a black family or with a black community for you to say, okay, now I can identify with this group? Like, you've always lived with your mom your whole life. That's a very on point thing, that you've already known that you are Asian. Your mom is Vietnamese and everything, but you've never had that side of your dad's side. So at what point did you encounter like living as a black woman or knowing that you are half black?
I'm still looking for it.
Still looking for it?
Still looking for it.
Okay.
I've had fragments of connection to my Black identity through some of my friends and sometimes Ethiopian food, but I still feel like that connection has so much to be explored.
Okay. So do you think you will be accepted in a Black community? You will be, let me put it this way, let me rephrase it. Do you think you'll be more accepted as an Asian woman or as a Vietnamese woman? Or as a Black woman?
Neither.
Neither?
In my current experiences, I've never been 100% accepted as one or the other.
Okay.
And the only path that I can take is just to choose my own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is it going out?
It's going really well, you know? You find people who love you and appreciate you for who you are.
Not because of your racial identification.
Yes.
Because
yes.
at the end of the day, I don't think it matters what color of skin you have or what's... I have to ask this. How do you think you've been accepted back home in Vietnam?
How? Because I still have family members here, aunties and uncles and sisters of my grandparents.
That you reached out to,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the first 2 times I came to Vietnam, I went with the purpose to learn more about my roots.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I came, the reception was quite warm and welcoming, and it just felt so. It was just something completely different that I'd never felt before, to be accepted just for who you are. But that's also family, you know. That's what they do.
Of course.
Yeah. So it was mind blowing to just go to the other side of the world and be taken in, arms open, no questions asked. Yeah.
All right. Now I have to ask you. You know, going through this childhood of like not knowing who you are, there must be some good times in there. Are there any good times that you can remember?
There have been so many good times.
Many good times.
Yeah. So just, for example, my mother is one of the strongest people I know.
Of course.
Yeah. There was one time we were grocery shopping together and she was just walking across the street, and my little sister, she was behind my mom. My mom, she didn't turn around to check my little sister, and my little sister actually ended up underneath a van. Yeah, and my mom, she ran in front of the van, she held her arms open, was like, stop! Yeah, so just knowing that I have such an incredible example to follow.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Now, what is keeping you in Saigon? What is keeping you in Vietnam?
So many things. My cat. I love my cat so
cat.
much. Yeah, my cat.
I love cats though.
Oh yeah, they're great. My one is super fluffy.
Okay.
He's like a fluff ball. His
Yeah.
name's Simba, like a little lion, and he's just the grumpiest cat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but besides loving your cat,
My cat.
besides the cat, what are you doing in Vietnam?
Life here is so good. So
Awesome.
good. Whatever you want to do, whatever idea you have, whatever business venture project you want to fulfill, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm here and I'm working on my business, Dynasty the Label, my own clothing line.
Okay.
And also my boyfriend helps me out a lot with that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was actually his idea that I get started with my own
brand.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had the courage to do my own thing. Yeah.
So Dynasty Label is a clothing line?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So how long have you been doing that?
For the past year and a half. Yeah.
And
So
what is it all about?
it's all about showing the beauty of mostly Asian culture. I try to incorporate African, Ethiopian elements into it through the tailoring. But one thing that's quite difficult with being located in Vietnam is that getting African fabrics. Yeah, it's the hardest thing. If I want to get...
Ask me.
You can? Oh my God.
Of course.
Usually what
I'm
I
an
do...
African, of course. Come on now.
Usually what I do is like I get my friends who are coming into Vietnam to bring fabrics for me. Otherwise, I have to get stuff sent in.
Wow.
Yeah. The last time I could get it myself was when I was living in France and I had a suitcase and like half of it was clothes and the other half was fabrics.
Oh man, I couldn't stop feasting my eyes on the outfits. Can you tell me what inspired this sort of outfits?
Sure. So whenever I see in history. I see a lot of regal patterns and designs. So a lot of dragons, clouds, tigers, patterns that are really strong and powerful. So that really inspires the direction of where my art and where my creations go.
Oh, I can see the Masai tribe. The Masai tribe, the tigers and all the. This is awesome, Kimmie. I have to tell you. Okay, now where do you get the fabrics? What kind of fabrics do you use to make all your art?
Usually, I use a mixture of brocade and different types of silks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I go all around the city. There's a whole bunch of fabric markets. My preferred places are District 5, Chinatown.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they have some of the biggest and best markets. Whatever you're looking for, you can find.
So who are your target audience?
So target audiences are people like myself, people who want to celebrate their mixed heritage, and also people who want to celebrate Asian and African culture, wearing powerful clothes, bright, attention-grabbing.
Have you ever gone to the street and people were asking you, where did you make your hair?
Definitely. Vietnamese people here, they love curly hair.
Curious.
Yeah, they tell me, oh, which salon did you go to? I tell them, I was born with it.
You're born with it. Yeah. You're born this way.
Yeah.
I see a lot of artworks that are kind of like African imagery or something. Oh, what's the story behind all the artworks?
So a lot of them are just pieces that I've collected on my travels. A lot of them I've brought with me from abroad over here to Vietnam. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to decorating. My philosophy is the space where I work, the space where I inhabit, it must be cozy, it must be warm, bright, a reflection of who I am and what's going inside my head. I need constant inspiration.
That's so beautiful, man. I see a lot of beautiful artworks that I just want to take one of them. But see, there are a lot of things that that caught my eye when I walked in. Here, just take a look at this. This is like something you get in Africa.
I actually got that in India.
Oh, really?
The rug down here, I got it in Morocco.
In Morocco?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, such an amazing place.
How many African countries have you been to?
Only to the one, just to Morocco.
Morocco.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morocco, it's an African country, but
it's amazing. The food they have,
beautiful.
the textiles, the views, the landscapes, it's just mind-blowing.
You should visit more African countries.
Definitely, I know.
You should definitely visit more African countries that are very historic African countries like Egypt, Tanzania, and even my place, Nigeria, is a lot of history. Might not be the kind of history you're looking for, but we got a lot of history. So
definitely, it's known as the cradle of civilization.
Of course, you should visit. You should try. Maybe after the COVID situations, you got to travel to Africa too.
Getting straight out of here.
You got to travel more to see the beauty, because a lot of people get this weird image about Africa and what Africa looks like. They think Africa is is a very poor country, a poor continent, and if you some of the Western worlds, they think Africa is just a country, but Africa is so much more than that. So much more than that. There are so many places that you will go to never believe, because you don't get to see a lot of that in the media. You don't get to see a lot of the culture, a lot of the beautiful places. You only get to see all the hunger, all the war that is going on. The same in Vietnam, just like I usually tell people about my story here. If any of my family members, my cousins in the States or in other countries, the first time they call me and they say, "You're living in Vietnam?" They're like, "What are you doing there? Are you crazy? Why? Why would you, of all places, why Vietnam?"
It's because media, one of the reasons is because media representation is just so narrow.
Yes, it's so narrow that you just don't get the whole picture of the country, of a whole individual, just because they choose what to tell you.
Exactly.
And
it's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. Because if they tell the good sides of Vietnamese story, I'm telling you, so many people, like what we're doing now, showcasing the beauty of this country, because this is now my home. if I'm living in Africa, I'm probably going to do the same. Once you are accepted, once you are loved where you are, why are you moving? So Kim, I have to ask you, final question. What do you see? Where do you see yourself in the next 5-10 years?
Doing exactly what I'm doing now, but bigger and better.
Bigger and better. And would that probably be in Vietnam or somewhere else?
Probably still in Vietnam. Yeah.
Probably still in Vietnam.
I mean, I'm stuck here.
You love it here. We love it here, just as you do. We do. I'm so, I don't know. I get asked this question. If I am asked 1,000,001 times, I will still give the same answer. I have no problems whatsoever living here, and being a member of this society is one of the best things that ever happened to me. The acceptance, the hospitality, and the way I've been treated. It's crazy, but people need to understand that we are having a blast in Vietnam.
Definitely, and there's so much to see, to explore, to discover, to live outside of our birth countries.
Of course, and I've been here over 10 years. I'm telling you, I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. I've not even visited many places that I would love to visit, but because of my journey in this country, I am going to visit each and every province in Vietnam. That's the goal. That's the target. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is the very interesting part that I get to ask you. How strong are your Vietnamese?
It's good. It's good. I mean, like, lúc trước, do you want to speak in Vietnamese?
Okay.
Lúc trước, lúc Kim mới đến Việt Nam, tiếng Việt của Kim dở quá trời dở.
Dở quá dở.
Yeah, có mẹ người Việt nhưng không, chẳng biết nói gì hết. Sau 4 năm, tập nói chuyện nhiều nghe, rồi đọc sách viết, thì tiếng Việt của Kim cải thiện nhiều.
Em biết sao không? Tại vì có một lúc anh có bạn là người Philippines nhưng mà y chang người Việt Nam luôn. Đến thoảng mình đi ra ngoài, người Việt Nam nhìn là người Việt Nam, họ bắt đầu nói tiếng Việt cho cô ấy, nhưng mà cô ấy không biết nói tiếng Việt đâu. Nhưng mà anh nghĩ là tại vì em cũng giống người Việt luôn. Em đi ra ngoài, nếu người ta không hiểu, người ta sẽ nghĩ là em là 100% người Việt Nam luôn.
Có đâu anh. Người Việt thấy em tưởng em là người nước ngoài.
Ồ vậy hả? Trời ơi, nhìn em thì là người Việt Nam.
Nhiều khi em đi bộ thấy người Việt nhìn em ngó em luôn, rồi nói chắc đó là người nước ngoài.
Đó là người nước ngoài, chắc không biết hết.
Đúng rồi.
Bắt đầu nói tiếng Anh với em hay là
nhiều khi nói tiếng Anh.
Nói tiếng Anh hả?
Có một số người nói xấu em luôn anh. Anh có tin không? Lạ, đâu có quen em, đâu có biết em, nhưng bắt đầu nói xấu em.
Trời ơi, sao kỳ vậy?
Kỳ quá trời luôn. Thôi, ít thôi.
Ít thôi, nhưng mà nếu là anh sẽ nghĩ là nhìn là biết là người nước ngoài y chang 100% luôn. Nhưng mà nhìn em, người ta sẽ không nhìn ra là em là người Việt Nam hay là người nước ngoài.
Khó đoán đúng không anh?
Người ta khó đoán, nhưng mà anh nghĩ là người Việt Nam sẽ nghĩ em là người Việt Nam, người ta sẽ không nói tầm bài với em đâu.
Không anh, em ở đây 4 năm rồi. Chẳng có người Việt nào tưởng em là người Việt. Thấy da của em, tóc của em, chịu em nói tiếng Việt chưa chắc lắm.
Ok, bây giờ để anh hỏi cái này bằng tiếng Việt đã. Ở Việt Nam em thích cái gì nhất?
Đồ ăn.
Đồ ăn hả?
Món Việt quá ngon.
Món Việt hả? Em thích món nào nhất?
Quá trời món, sao trộn được anh.
Ok, 1, 2, 3.
Trời, ok, thường ở đây em rất thích ăn món chay.
Món chay hả?
Em ăn mặn được, nhưng ở đây em thấy có quá trời quán chay bán đồ ăn ngon, nhiều loại rau, đậu hũ, ngon quá trời ngon. Thứ hai là nêm nướng. Nêm nướng. Nêm nướng quá ngon. Nêm nướng Nha Trang. Đó là nêm nướng yêu thích của em.
Ok, thứ ba
chắc là bánh xèo anh.
Bánh xèo, 3 bánh xèo. Bánh xèo các bạn ạ. Bánh xèo is super duper ngon. If you have never tried bánh xèo, I'm telling you guys, you need to try bánh xèo.
With nước mắm, a generous portion of nước mắm and rau greens. You need greens and herbs in there.
Okay, quick question again. 1, 2, 3 cities, favorite cities to visit in Vietnam.
In Vietnam, trời ơi, okay. To visit?
Yep.
Khó đoán. Đà Nẵng. Number one, definitely. Because it's got everything. It's got amazing seafood, amazing local food.
Awesome.
It's right next to the beach, and it's also right next to Hoi An. So like when I say Da Nang, I also mean like Da Nang and Hoi An. Yeah. Thứ hai là I would probably say Ninh Bình.
Oh, why is that?
Because it's so chill.
Okay.
It's incredibly quiet, and you can go. I love going around by bicycle.
Okay.
And it's just one of the most amazing places in terms of scenery and just to spend time and reconnect with nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thứ ba.
Hà Giang hả? Yeah.
Hà Giang có gì đâu?
Có nhiều thứ chơi. If
If
you know how to like ride a motorbike, Hà Giang is where I recommend you go.
Really?
Yeah, because you can go around there and just explore the mountains, the caves. You can taste some really good local food made by mấy người dân tộc. So the ethnic people who live there, there's so many different types of ethnic people.
Okay.
There's like 54 different types of ethnic people in Vietnam. So yeah, if you don't have time to go to Hà Giang, and if you don't know how to ride a bike, because if you can't ride a bike in Hà Giang, like,
why would you live in Vietnam if you don't know how to ride a bike?
I mean, some people just visit, you know. But
Alright, yeah,
the beginner's version would be Châu, which is right next to Hanoi. It's like a few hours, like 3-4 hours next to Hanoi, and it's like the easy version of Hà Giang. So there's caves you can visit that you can just like walk to. There's really amazing rice fields and like scenery that you can just see from like everywhere, and wow. Yeah.
That was so cool. All right, Kim, I have to ask you this. What would you like to say to other mixed race kids out there who don't have like a role model to look up to, who don't know how to identify, who don't know how to live their lives in happiness and enjoy because of their difficulty identifying who they really are? What would you like to say to them?
Number one, don't care so much what people think. Number two, try what you can to connect with your roots. It really is such a valuable experience.
Try and connect to your roots. That is what African roots is all about, because you don't have to be 100% African to be an African. You just have to have the passion and the love of human in your heart to understand that life is all about who you are and how you treat people. It's not about where you are from. It's not about what your pigmentation is. It's about accepting everybody as the same, because at the end of the day, we are all just one single race, which is the human race. Irrespective of your background, irrespective of your color or your language, look at us. We came all the way from different parts of the world to know each other in Vietnam. And the acceptance I've received as a foreigner residing here in Vietnam has been phenomenal. It's like the least of the statements, the list of the words that I would pick. I don't know which other words that are better than that. But I've lived my life here over 10 years in Vietnam in joy and in happiness. Though there may be some ups and downs here and there, but if you are thinking that you will go through life without going through these ups and downs, then you are not ready to leave. So sometimes the difficult situations are the ones that make us better. So if not for your story, for the things that you've gone through, you wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't have a life that you are having today. But because of all those experiences, that's the reason why you've been stronger. You've been a role model to mixed race kids and to a lot of people who are having difficulties in identifying who they really are. And I really appreciate that about you. I might probably get something to wear. You never know. You never know. You get to know. See you guys. Boom! Good job, Kimmie.
Gonna give you a hug.
Good job, babe.
On the next episode of African Roots in Vietnam, we'll be talking to CJ, a businessman and also a YouTuber.
Why Vietnam? What brought you to Vietnam?
Well, so many people ask me why did I choose Vietnam.
Yes.
I just like to answer that Vietnam chose me.
Okay.
Every week on our YouTube channel, Afroviet TV. Afroviet.